So I thought I'd show you my photograph I'm using on this tablet I had for Christmas. I thought it might come handy. I can show you the pictures I'm giving along this way. So here I've got, this was Woolacombe. Just a nice simple little stream, plenty of trees, and so we should be able to create a bit of depth with this. So I'm just going to pop that down there on my easel. I'm just going to start off with clear water all over the paper. I'm still waiting for the raw sienna. I've actually run out of ultramarine as well, so I'm getting a bit. I'll have to. It's Friday today, and it's like if the paint doesn't arrive tomorrow morning, I'm gonna have to go out and get some, I think. But I've still got plenty on my palette to keep me going. I'm just gonna try use what ultramarine I can get hold of. That's coming down to there, and then up there. There's a bit of green, so I'm just going to sort of put it in en masse, just to give it a sort of green flavour, and then I'll put more individual sort of green foliage parts in as we go along. So there's just about a sort of distant hill you can see, somewhere up there. It's not showing up very well. You know what I might do? I don't like that sky area at all. I'm going to lighten that. Just going to lighten that. Take that out with the tissue. Let's get a bit of light in there. Something like that. A bit of umber. This is just a sort of general background feel, just coming down to where the stream starts. Switching over to light red. Yeah, it's down as far as I need to come for the time being. So what I'm going to do next is pop in a bit of water on the palette. So I'm going to switch to the little brush now, put a few tree trunks in, a bit of brown, a bit of blue, sort of darkish tree trunky colour, and I'm just going to flick those in really quickly, just flicking up with the brush. And because the paper's still wet, these will soften off and go a bit blurry and look as if you're sort of far in the distance. Not much detail at this stage, just sort of very lightly toned, distant tree trunks. I'm just flicking it up like that. Plenty of paint, plenty of water. And you see the odd bit of a few twigs and branches and stuff. Not too much detail at this distance. I'll just see where that line just starts to go. The paper's still wet, so I don't want too much water on the brush. Bit of light red, bit of ultramarine. Just where the mud just goes up the side of this hillside up here. the stream. The stream's going to start about there. And it's going to come round. I'm just marking out where the stream's going to go. So if I just show you the photograph, it just sort of snakes all the way round. So I'm just finding these points here, just where I can see the stream in the distance. And I'm just marking out where the sort of where the water's going to be. It's going to be somewhere around there. And it also comes down. This bit comes down. Now that's the distant land. And then what I might do is just define this part. I want this dark now because this is closer to us. So let's get this dark. I want a bit of red, and a bit of Payne's grey. I wanted it strong just so that it contrasts against that lighter background. So now I've got the profile of that side and I can make it a little bit lighter. So I'm just taking the excess water. So I've cleaned the brush, taking what's left of the water off on the tea towel. And I'm just going into lemon yellow. And just bringing that down to where the stream's going to start, which is somewhere around there. That's just the end of the snaky bit there. That's there, just a dab of light red. You don't need much red. See how strong? It was just the slightest of dabs. Bit of yellow, bit of brown, bit of ultramarine. The paper stretched a little bit, so I'm just going to pull it flat so it's flat against this piece of 9mm plywood that I clipped it to. And then what I want to do is put in another layer of these trees. So we've got the most distant ones in, which you can hardly see, and then you can see this next layer of trees. So they're the ones I want to put in next. The ones that sort of start on the hill, just this near hillside. So again, I'm going to switch to the little brush. I'm just going to dip just the corner of the brush in the water, just to put a bit of water on the palette, so I can get the bit of paint on this little brush. And again, these, because the paper's dried now, pretty much, so this will go on a bit strong, and you can see how stronger this looks now against the stuff we put on first when the paper was still wet. This has gone on a lot stronger because the paper's dry. I like to put it on in 3 different layers. This will be the second layer, and then save the last layer, which will be the nearest trees. That'll be the strongest mix going on. So these, once I've put a few in, I'm going to start just suggesting a few twigs and branches coming off these trunks, doing all directions, some coming down off the top of the paper from trunks and branches that are out of sight, off page. A few grasses growing amongst all the base of the trees there. And then when I finish that off, just carry on with this groundwork. Yeah, bring this side down a little bit. burnt umber, bit of light red. Just constantly trying to vary it. Back to the burnt umber. And then once you've gone to dark, to get back to light, you're going to have to clean the brush. Take the excess off on the tea towel. And you go back to a lighter colour then. If your brush is getting muddy, just clean it and start again. Okay, bit of green down there. Don't want this too dark because then once I put in the final layer of trees, the bigger ones, I want to cast some shadows down. So if I keep this fairly light, the shadows will show up nicely. So that's pretty much the sort of the way the stream snakes through these woods. Dab of ultramarine on there just to get a bit of texture. So what I'm going to do next, so again you can see now I've got this main sort of stream shape. See how it sort of snakes round here into the foreground, sweeps round. So I can see plenty of rocks in there, so I might just darken the edges where land meets water and put these rocks in. So again, clean the brush, very lots of water on the brush, so I have to take the excess off with the tea towel. Let's go into a darker colour, a bit of burnt umber, a bit of Payne's grey, ultramarine, and just put in these, just the muddy banks. Not everywhere, just here and there, hit and miss. Dark bit down there. And then once I've got that out, I can switch to the corner of my plastic card. Just scraping a few rocks here and there. Because it's dark, I'm scratching back now to the white of the paper and it's showing up nicely. Obviously the rocks get smaller and smaller as they go off into the distance. And the paper's just slightly, I'm going to pull this tight. Get that flat against the paper. And just a few little rocks here and there. Scraping into the dark bits we've just added. That'll do. Don't want to get too mad. Maybe the odd one up there if it's still, that's still wet so I can get away with it. I'm just trying to do them small now, just try and keep them subtle, because I know I'm aware I've done quite a few. I don't want to get too mad if I haven't done so already. So next, I want to put in the big juicy trees now. So we've got all this sort of massive foliage in, and then you can see these big ones, one there, one there, one there, one there, a few wrong here. So a big thick mix using the corner of the, or using the sort of chisel edged hake brush to put these dark, big thick tree trunks in there. And this will really push everything else back into the distance. So I want to go dark, so I'm going to bother cleaning the brush. So I'm going darker. I'm just going ultramarine, burnt umber, just a bit of Payne's grey as well. Got, is that true? Up there like that. You can see how dark that's gone on now, it's pushed everything else back. It's up there like that. Got another one. I don't want to paint over anything that I like in the distance. Let's that one in there. There like that. That goes up there. And there's something else up there. Something up there. So that's enough on the right hand side. Let's do the ones on the left. So there's like a big one there. It goes up there like that. Just bring it out. And there's quite a few on this side now. They sort of go up there. Bring these down a bit lower just to get a bit of variation. You don't want them all at the same distance from you, so some will be closer, some will be further away. Get down even closer. That'll do. Let's bring that one down a bit closer. And the rest of them are hiding behind these rocks there. So I'm fairly happy with that now. Just put a bit of water on the palette there just to so I can get some paint on with the little brush, little rigger brush. Just burnt umber, ultramarine, and then just the odd little brown shade in there. A few more in on the left hand side. And there's also a few sticks and things growing down the base. It's not growing up there like that, don't know what it is. Grow up there. So I think that's all I'm going to do for all the sweets and stuff. So I'm going to put this water in now. So I don't want to put it in too dark. So I'm just going to clean the brush, wipe it on the tea towel. I'm just going to go a little bit of ultramarine, just a dab of Payne's grey, not too much. And I'm just going to very quickly just sweep round, leaving plenty of unpainted bits so it looks like there's water movement. What I might do is just a few dabs even there by the bank. Give that a quick dry. So looking again at the photograph, we've got the water in now, which was just a quick sweep of the brush So all that's left, now there's no real shadows in this, but painting always looks, you've got to put shadows in. You can't have a dull day, it's in the same. It always looks more exciting, more interesting. Shadows just bring it to life, basically. So I'm just going to pretend that the sun is somewhere. So I'm just trying to work out where what's going to create the most dramatic effect. So if we just say that the sun is here, say, and so the shadows are going to just follow the lines of the tree. So I'll show you what I mean. So all I'm going to do is a bit of red, bit of brown, bit of blue, mix that up, a bit more. Not too much water because we want the shadows to show up fairly well. And then when I'm happy with that, right, so we're about here, so I'm just gonna, the sun's there, so I'm just gonna follow that shadow line, something like that. That's coming down there, that's going along there. And we're coming in there, it's just darken those a little bit, right there. It's coming down the shadow, sort of getting lost in the water, this one. And that's over there like that, and this one over there. It's just darken that a little bit to make it look a bit more silhouette-y. Bigger. Shadows behind here. Another thing going on. Delicate little touches here and there. I'll tell you something I forgot to do. I haven't done the reflections in the water, have I? So I'm going to clean the brush and I'm going to re-wet the water and then pour some reflections down. So I just want plain water. Let's just wet this. Because it's dry, the paint should stay where it is. And let's get those tree trunks colours again. I'm just going burnt umber, ultramarine. Fast running out of ultramarine paint. So, right, we've got a big one down here. And a few. So I just want to try and reflect a little bit. Watch that water gathering at the bottom. There's also gets a bit of green in the water from these trees up there. And then you've got these sort of bit more red. There, you put that down in the water as well. I just want to strengthen those banks a little bit. When I re-wet the water, I just sort of soften it off a bit too much. So I just need to just strengthen those banks. Little rocks even there, not too many. That's the water. And then finally, the last thing I want to do, I just want to put just a few leaves here and there because it just looks a bit open across the top. If we look in the photo, you can see there's a bit of foliage here and there, a few leaves and stuff. This just looks too bare. So let's just put some in there. So I'm just going to clean the brush. Just clean the brush, scuff the hairs up a little bit, and then see if I can get some of that lemon yellow in there. Just start off with a light. Some light lemon yellow. Just a dab into the ultramarine. And I'm just turning the brush as I do it, just to try and get as much variation as I possibly can. And also a bit of Payne's grey, just to really darken up those some of those leaves. Because the brush is dry, just make sure your brush is dry, because if it's too wet you'll just block it all in and you won't be able to see through what you've just painted. That'll do, I think. And then obviously what I did forget to do, just want a few, could have done this when the water was wet but not tomorrow, just the odd little leaf here and there reflected. Just very, very light. And I think I'm going to leave that like that now. All I want to do is have I'm just going to put a little bird. Just a little bird flying through there. And I'm just going to stick my name down there. And I'll call this one finished. So let's see what it looks like with the mount on. So here's our painting with the mount on. So we have a quick look at the photograph. I've tried to stick to the original composition as much as possible. So just starting with this very light area of the sky, you can just about see the originally I put it in darker, and you remember I just wet it with a brush and took it off with some tissue just to make it lighter, because it was too dark, needed some light in there. And you can see all this sort of mass of detail that's in there. I've sort of tried to break it up into two banks, sort of one across there and then another one. So basically just sort of green distant layer there, and then a sort of lightly closer sort of what was it, sort of burnt umber, light red, more reddy sort of bushes, just to try and make sense of all this background foliage, this whole mass of trees we can see. Tried to do them in 3 layers, so we've got the most distant ones that we can't really see many now, and then I put in when the paper was still wet. Then you got the likes of these sort of put in on the sort of second layer. So the paper was still slightly wet, but they've gone in with a very light tone. And then finally, the nearest ones, put in the big thick ones using the side of the hake brush, nice and dark, sort of silhouetted against the light sky. See why I put the sky in lighter, so that I can sort of silhouette the trees against it to create that sense of light. Especially when you put the shadows in, it really tries to bring the painting to life. So there's no shadows in the paint. Again, a dull day, so I had to make them up. The water, initial blue wash, and then I've re-wet it and tried to reflect. Originally I forgot the reflections, but you can see I put the reflections in and it really makes it look like water. Just reflecting the main elements, these big trees going up, just bringing those down. Bit of the green here reflected from up in the distance there, and a bit of this reddy brown bush reflected in the water, and a few just the odd leaves here and there. It just helps make it look like water. And then I've got all these rocks here scraped in by the water's edge. Very simple technique, but I think it's quite effective. Especially places like here where you put it in where it's dark, so it looks like the light sort of catching the edge and the other side's in shadow. Same sort of effect down here, right down the bottom. You scrape them in and it sort of automatically creates a highlight on the top and a shadow on the other side. So I hope you like that. Don't forget to keep painting along, practicing. Don't forget to subscribe so be notified of all new videos come out each weekday, Monday to Friday. Thanks for watching. Keep commenting, liking, sharing, and I'll see you again soon.